Hello and welcome to everyone to this eighth episode of Deep Point with GillyCricket. Some comments have already come in, just like always. There's Abhishek Palav who's asking me if Test can be abandoned for pitch being dangerous for batsmen, then why not in the case where it's mentally as well as physically draining for bowlers? Well, it is a batter's game. We know that. Ruben Loganathan, as always, one of the very consistent viewers of the show and cricket.com. English Test team has been transformed into an exciting attacking team, and their white ball teams have been fantastic too since coach was replaced. Should BCCI too bring in coaches to replace Dravid? Okay, so my view on this is that we need to wait and see how successful and how sustainable is going to be this approach of the England cricket team on pitches that are difficult for batting. To be very honest, this time in the summer, in the English summer, the pitches really didn't have a lot for the bowlers, except for that one test where South Africa did actually beat England. So there's that, and then on these kind of pitches as well, which are national highways in Rawalpindi, I don't think your batters can be tested that much. However, what I feel is that this is a good approach for teams where they know that their batters lack the defensive game, and England know that their batters have struggled to defend. So might as well take your chances and see if you can put the opponent under pressure and make them bowl to your strengths. It is something what someone like Virender Sehwag has done. It is something what Rishabh Pant has done in Test matches, where even in difficult conditions, if you start going for your shots, the line and length can be disturbed of the bowlers, and then they start trying different things which can turn out to be very funny. And to some extent, the bowling attacks of New Zealand in England and India's bowling attack in that one test in Edgbaston did play to England's strength, because India's bowling attack had Siraj and Shardul as the third and fourth seamer, and both of them weren't really consistent. Like both of them went at, if I'm not wrong, at more than 5 runs per over, and Shardul we know struggles for consistency. So we need to wait and see how England, play with this approach when they, go to Australia, when they probably go to South Africa, when they probably come to India and play on difficult pitches. Because on pitches which are conducive for batting, the chances of this approach being successful are relatively high. So I will not call it revolutionary just yet. I'd like to wait, and that is why I won't really say that coaches should be changed. Coaches should be changed. I think that we need to wait and see what happens. And it's only been 1 year for Rahul Dravid, and in Test matches, I think India have only played what, 6 matches, yeah. And a lot of those Test matches, the 3 Test matches that India lost, uh, they were also down to poor bowling and some injuries to the Indian Test squad. Like in South Africa, India did not have Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja along with Shubman Gill. And in the second Test match, Siraj got injured, and then there was another. So India had to play with Umesh Yadav and Shardul. Shardul was anyway there, so there were injuries as well. Virat Kohli missed one Test, and Jasprit Bumrah didn't really have a great Test match in Johannesburg, where he went for more than 4 runs per over. So I don't think for these things that the coach can be blamed. I'm not saying they don't criticize the coach. I've had my criticisms of Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma as well, but I think just removing them would be a little too harsh. Also, who do you have as a replacement right now? Who you think can be better than Rahul Dravid, or be more shrewd, or tactically more aware? As long as you don't have that replacement, you have to back Rahul Dravid to come good, and then look for options. I don't think 1 year is enough time. And it's been when India sort of looked to transit to go into some kind of transition as well. So you need to give Rahul Dravid some time. I'll say that. Uh, can England get a result from here? What can they do according to you? They can get a result from here if Pakistan implode, or there's a collapse, because I don't see this pitch deteriorating. In fact, I put it very honestly. I think the 10 wickets have fallen on this pitch because England have chosen to bat in an aggressive manner. If England would have chosen to bat normally, I don't think England would have been all out today. I think England could have been probably batting till tea today. So England were a little more aggressive than what was usual. That showed in their run scoring as well. But then if they had not been aggressive, they wouldn't have been able to score 657 runs in just over 100 overs. And their run rate of 6.5 is the highest run rate for any innings that has lasted more than 100 overs, and or for a score more than 400. So that tells you how fast they batted, how well they batted despite the conditions, and how poorly Pakistan moved. So a combination of a lot of things. Yeah, I don't see a result coming out unless one of the teams actually implode from here. And when Australia were in Pakistan and they played that second Test match, Pakistan could have had chased, if they if they would have been given 20 more overs or 25 more overs, because Pakistan did score 440 runs in some, or 170 in just more than 5 sessions. So yeah, I mean, I think result is going to be difficult over here. Let's be very honest. Just looking at all the other questions that have come in. Uh, Amish Karpe is saying, can't understand why Gill is not in Bangladesh ODI, neither India A red ball match. He's one of the best players of slow low spin friendly wickets. I hope team should see him as an opener with Rohit for World Cup. Also, he should be given all chances from January. He's just going to get better and better. His white ball game is just improving and improving, and he plays spin better than Dhawan. I agree with a lot of points here. But this Gill can't play because this Gill has to do the shows. But yes, obviously he's talking about Shubman Gill. So not only Shubman Gill's omission from the Bangladesh series, but a lot of omissions from the Bangladesh series don't really make a lot of sense because I think a lot of those players which haven't been picked might just play a series in Sri Lanka because there is one which is to be scheduled, but the schedule isn't out yet. But for me, the most baffling thing of this squad is that how is Kuldeep Yadav selected in Test matches? Because he's only played one first-class game this year, and he hasn't played the Ranji Trophy as well this year. So from where did he get selected ahead of Saurabh Kumar, who was in the squad when Sri Lanka came to India and India played those two Test matches? Is something which is beyond me. And there is no consistency in terms of which pacer you want to select, because India had selected Mukesh Kumar for the home series versus South Africa. Then they had selected Yash Dayal, but he's injured, and now I think uh, they've drafted in Kuldeep Sen, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, and see, he wasn't there for the red ball game against for the India A red ball series because he's already a part of the Test series. I think over there, the selectors and the team management wanted to see who could be the next talent that they want to invest into. I think they're pretty much clear that Gill is going to be a part of their plans moving forward. They're just not sure how they want to look at it. In my view, you are absolutely correct. He should be someone who should be playing the World Cup next year, the ODI World Cup next year in place of Shikhar Dhawan. And if I had my way, I would have him batting at number five in Test matches and not open, because I still think he's a little susceptible to movement. And given the kind of you know, given the kind of batting that he does and his gameplay, I think he can be someone who can replace Virat Kohli at number four going forward. And like you mentioned, he plays spin very well. I don't think he has problems with pace or bounce. He's just a little susceptible to the ball coming in. And if he's going to come in and bat at number four or five, he will not be that tested against that kind of bowling, unless there have been two wickets which have fallen in early. So I think that is the best way to probably blood in Shubman Gill. You should bat him at five, and just allow him that time to grow. He's had four or five fifties, if I'm not wrong, in his Test match career. He's always looked good. He was looking good in England as well. Just not being able to kick on those few starts and make the big scores, but that will happen. He's young, so you have to realize that after 10 Test matches, if he's averaging 32, and mind you, he's played a lot of Test matches in difficult conditions. He was playing the World Test Championship. He played three Test matches in Australia. He's played one Test match versus England in England, and then the pitches in India in that England series weren't the easiest as well. Like we saw what happened in Ahmedabad in that pink ball test, and then even in Chennai, the second test, the pitch had a lot of pace and bounce, and then it was turning. So barring the first test where the pitch was easy to bat, I don't think batting conditions were easy in any of those test matches. So except for the two test matches that he's played against New Zealand at home, where was one was in Kanpur and the other was in Mumbai, I don't think he's had a lot of easy batting conditions. So we need to cut him some slack and allow him to grow and become a better player, because the quality is definitely there. One thing before I move on to the next question, I want to ask and request a favor from you guys that all of you who are watching, please press the like button because we have to make sure that as per the YouTube algorithm, this show keeps coming up forward. And do like, share, and subscribe as well this episode and the channel with your friends if you like the content. But please, if you're watching, do press the like button. It would be of great help. Moving on to the next question. Expert is saying, should India look to open with Washington Sundar in LOIs? We lack a lefty who's good against spin and pace, and he's shown a lot of promise, both temperament and hitting wise. Plus, he's a bankable LOI bowler. There's a second part to this question as well. Now, let me find out. Uh, yeah, and I don't see a point in him playing at seven where he can have proper hitters, where we can have proper hitters, and having two batters who can bowl in top six is what we've been missing as well. Solves a lot of problem for us. We need to see this. Last year before the IPL, I said that I'd love for Washington Sundar to open the batting for Sunrisers Hyderabad because he hadn't worked on his power game, and we have seen that he has conventional shots as well. Last year in December, I had tweeted when someone had asked me that who do I see as a potential number five in the future, and I said Washington Sundar because he has a lot of time on his hands, and he has a good backfoot game, and he actually left the ball very well whenever he's played Test matches for India. So I think there's definitely a lot of batting potential in him. What he's shown in this series versus New Zealand is that he's actually worked on his power game as well. So if he has worked on his power game, then he can bat at number six or number seven. Number seven, I think, would be apt for him. Uh, the problem is you can't have him opening right now because you have too many opening options. And if he opens, then everyone moves one slot down, and then they're not probably batting in their best position. So you want to balance that well. So if Washington Sundar can open for Sunrisers Hyderabad or Sunrisers Hyderabad given that opportunity, and he does well, then maybe we can look at this probably in T20s. But I don't think it's really needed in ODIs because uh, there's still some way to see and to see him as a complete batter yet or as a top six batter. But yes, if he develops into a top five, which I think he can in test matches, then this is something that can definitely be tried. But it will always be difficult in Indian cricket because you will have a bunch of openers waiting to come into the team. We know what is happening with Ruturaj Gaikwad. He's and Prithvi Shaw. These guys have shown that they are definitely above the domestic level, especially someone like Ruturaj Gaikwad in ODIs because they're scoring runs by the heaps. Even Prithvi Shaw has an average of 56, if I'm not wrong, and a strike rate of 120 plus in EST cricket. But they're not able to get into the 11 because you already have Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, KL Rahul. Even Shubman Gill may not get into the 11 if India don't move on from someone like Shikhar Dhawan. So for him to open the batting will always be a difficult proposition because I don't think the team management and the teams will be flexible enough to drop a conventional opener and play someone like him as an opener. Maybe we need someone like Greg Chappell to come in and do that experiment which he did with Irfan Pathan and see if it works for Washington Sundar. Potential wise, I think he definitely has that. So we'll have to see how it goes. How do you think India could line up against Bangladesh in ODIs given they dropped Samson to accommodate a six bowling option from the second ODI? If they continue to mm, if they continue, it would mean only one of KL and Shreyas plays. So here's the thing. I think the top five that India have is in that Bangladesh ODIs is your uh, is going to be Rohit and Shikhar opening one down Virat. Uh, maybe at four, maybe Pant at four because I don't see KL keeping, and then number five would be one of KL and Shreyas. So you're correct, one of them will go out. And the problem is at six, seven, eight, India have a lot of India have bowling all rounders, or India have batters who can bowl. There is Shardul, there is Deepak Chahar, there's Shahbaz. If they actually go with six bowling options, then yes, one of them will go out. And there's also a possibility that even if India go in with five bowling options, someone like Rajat Patidar might get a look in. So it's like I said in the beginning, how the squads have been made is something which is very difficult to fathom because if there is no series against Sri Lanka, then the squad should have been different because you can't really have the likes of Rajat Patidar and Rahul Tripathi ahead of Samson or Surya Kumar Yadav. I don't think Surya Kumar Yadav as well is there or Shubman Gill in the team. And there are a lot of players missing. I can understand why Siraj was not a part of the squad or the ODI series that played against New Zealand, because you probably wanted to try out the likes of Ashdeep and Umran. But Siraj was already there for the T20I series. You could have played him. There's a lot of confusion with regards to squads. I think when the next team gets selected, we will have a lot more clarity, because it would be selected by the new bunch of selectors, and probably, maybe at a look at the maybe with a look at with an eye at the future, because these squads were selected when the World T20 was already on. So maybe at that point of time they didn't want to create that messy kind of a situation wherein some players who have already been in the World T20 squad, they've been dropped even before the World T20 has ended. So that would have dropped a few morale. So it's really difficult to come up with a plausible explanation of what has happened in the squads or how the squads have been made. I've been trying to make a lot of sense of it. I've tried to come up with theories, but I don't think any theory or any sense or any logic that I've come up with satisfies all the questions that are there. There is obviously something or the other which tends to get missed, and we don't have that clarity. And honestly, because of this lack of clarity, I keep saying that the selectors need to come and address the press conferences when they select a team, because it is important for the fans to know as well. And you'd be surprised, but in some cases even the players don't know what has happened or why they have been left out. So hopefully that's not the case here, because it has been the case in Indian cricket in the past. Will Bishnoi also fail a downfall like Kuldeep due to lack of confidence by team management? Archit Sharma is asking. Okay. I don't think Kuldeep's downfall was really due to lack of confidence by team management, because Kuldeep was starting to get exposed and taken apart in the 2018 tour to England, where someone like Joe Root kept playing him off the back foot because of his lack of pace, and then he got taken apart quite badly in the IPL 2019, and in that game versus England, because of his lack of pace, teams had started to play him off the pitch. And when he really started, then he had that surgery, and he was struggling to make it to the Kolkata Knight Riders 11 as well, because it was for a reason. Because someone like Varun Chakraborty was actually outperforming him. So I don't think his downfall was due to the lack of confidence in team management. It was, his early mystery being decoded. Now he's come back. He's worked on his pace a little bit. Earlier he was, usually operating between speeds of 75 kilometers per hour to maybe 85 kilometers per hour. Now he's tried to push it up to 90. When he tries to push it beyond 95, you can see he loses control. That is not the problem with Ravi Bishnoi. Ravi Bishnoi is someone who really has a flattened trajectory, and I've said it quite a few times in my tweets and on the show that he could be really India's Samuel Badri in T20 internationals, because he can hold that flatter trajectory, and he really doesn't give any room to the right hander. And if he keeps bowling it at short of length, batters will have trouble in putting him away. It is only when he starts to bowl full, the batters are able to line him up and then try and hit him down the ground. And it's something which Rajat Palidar did in that eliminator. It's something which uh, Faf du Plessis had done in the game in the RCB versus Lucknow game in DY Patil. So it's when he's trying to bowl it full, and trying to bowl it full in search of going for wickets or giving it flight, is that the batters can go after him. But I don't think Bishnoi will have a downfall as of now. I think Bishnoi will be back in the squad very soon. I still don't know why he's been left out. It really doesn't make any sense to me. But I don't see these two being parallels, in the sense that he will have a downfall due to the. I don't think Kuldeep had a downfall due to lack of confidence, and I hope Bishnoi doesn't have that downfall, because come the IPL you would expect him to get a lot of chances as well. Last IPL in a couple of games he was dropped for someone like Shabazz Nadeem, and I did not agree with that. I don't know why that happened. Hopefully it's not the case in this IPL, and hopefully he's back into the Indian team soon, because India do really need to take a call on someone like Yuzvendra Chahal, and maybe Kuldeep Yadav as well, because I don't think that on skill Kuldeep Yadav is a better bowler than Yuzvendra Chahal, and Yuzvendra Chahal at this point of time is facing a severe lack of confidence from whichever captain he's bowling, whether that was Rohit Sharma, whether it was Hardik Pandya, or whether it was Shikhar Dhawan. Because in the third ODI, even after the 15th over, he was not given the ball, and everyone else had bowled. So That really reflects the kind of confidence that is there in the captain in his skills. So maybe if in the next series India do look past, uh, Yuzvendra Chahal, maybe Ravi Bishnoi will come in, and it is going to happen. It is bound to happen at some stage or the other. Who should replace Chahal, Bishnoi? Uh, Rahul Chahar will need to have one great season because he was in the Indian team, but he started going for runs a lot. He didn't have a great 2021 IPL either, I think. And then this year as well. The good thing is, yes, that he's working on his batting. So if he does well in the IPL, or he gets few chances, maybe India should look at him once again. But we'll have to see. It's too early to say. And India need to give Bishnoi a few more chances before they go back to Routledge. Aji, why rotation policy applies on Samson and not Pant? Also, I do not think India have enough bench strength for test fast bowlers for next season. Okay, too many questions in one. So Samson, let before we address Pant, let's just put it out there that Samson has been unfortunate and not been treated well. I was very surprised that India dropped him for the second ODI, and then for the so once they had dropped him for the second ODI, it was bound to happen that he will not play the third ODI because there was hardly any game time in the second ODI. In my view, India just wanted to have another bowling option, but here's where I stand on this. Your your number eight, if he's playing for batting depth, right? It is of no use if that number eight is going to decrease your bowling quality. Similarly, your sixth bowler, if he's playing for bowling options or a bowling option, if it is happening at the cost of batting quality, it is not worth it. So in the event that you don't have the perfect bowlers or the perfect batters or the perfect players who can be your proper number eight or number six, it is best to go in with your best six batters and best five bowlers because that is the best way you can look to win the game. Because please let's make it very clear. Part-time bowlers are part-time bowlers for a reason. If your first three or four bowlers are not going to take wickets, then your part-time bowler is not going to affect the game that much, right? You still need wickets from your top three bowlers, and if that is not going to happen, your part-time bowlers can't do anything. Similarly, you do need batting depth, but because it allows your top six to play more freely. But if your top six or top seven are not scoring runs consistently, or if your number eight is actually reducing that bowling quality for which, if you're trying to score those 20 extra runs and that 20 extra runs are going to be conceded anyway due to the lack of bowling quality, it's not worth it. You might as well score the amount of runs that you're doing with seven batters and then back your bowlers to do the job, right? I'm not saying that the extra batter doesn't allow freedom to the top six or top seven. It does, but at the end of the day, it is going to ensure that you end up leaking the same amount of runs or probably even more than what you would score with the presence of extra batter. So it's a very delicate balance, and it's there's a very fine line in getting that balance and getting that balance wrong. But Delhi Capitals are a perfect example of this over the last two seasons. In the IPL 2021, they had a 6-5 combination with Akshar at 7, and they felt that they had a better shot. In IPL 2022, they bought Shardul Thakur for 10 crores. They had him at 8, and they had 6, 7, 8 of Lalit Yadav, Akshar Patel, and Shardul Thakur. But they realized that their bowling was actually conceding too many runs, and their batters couldn't make up for it, and hence they released Shardul Thakur. So you need to be able to find this balance very well. And as far as I'm concerned, uh, it is important if you don't have players who can help you manage that team. It is better to try and have a fifth bowler rather than an extra bowler because a fifth bowler will definitely come into the game, whether it's a T20 game or an ODI game. Your fifth bowler has to bowl 4 overs in T20. Your fifth bowler has to bowl 10 overs in an ODI game. But your extra batter or your seventh batter may not get that many balls to make an impact in that match because if your top six do well, as Rajasthan and Gujarat Titans showed in this IPL, then you probably don't need that extra batter. I'm not saying it is ideal. I'm just saying that you'll have to make a trade-off. And for me, making the trade-off of an extra batter is still better than making the trade-off of an extra bowler. Because if your top six do well, you may not need that extra bowler. But if you're regardless of how your top four bowlers do, You still have to get four overs out of a out of some bowler, and 4 overs in T20 are a lot. Are they can actually change, make or break the game, right? If those 4 overs can go for 40 or 50 runs, it can be a completely different story altogether. So you have to find that balance very, very carefully. And this is where sometimes the usage of the bowling options of the captain also comes into place. And not all captains can be smart enough to actually slip in their fifth bowler well, and make sure that the batting depth is utilized. Because sometimes to utilize that batting depth, you need to promote someone as a pinch hitter, and that doesn't really happen a lot. So it's something which requires a lot of detailed study, and it's something where you will never find one proper answer because of how the dynamics of game are. So it, it's not something where one size is going to fit all. So it's quite a longish explanation, but I had to go into deep into this because it's also one of the favorite topics that I like. My favorite format at this point of time is T20s because of what I explained right now. It has so much of intricacies, so much of minute details, and it makes for a more level playing field for even the smaller teams as opposed to what a test match or an ODI cricket would do. And we saw this in this T20 World Cup as well. Both the finalists lost to teams like Zimbabwe and Ireland. Now, the chances of an England losing to Ireland in ODI or Test matches are far lesser than in T20. Similarly for Pakistan as well, or for that matter, Netherlands beating South Africa, or Namibia beating Sri Lanka, or Scotland beating West Indies. So I love T20 the most, but Test matches are something that I do enjoy. But for me to enjoy Test matches, what I need is good pitches. Watching the Test matches like the one in Rawalpindi are a huge pain for me. So that is there. India does not. I think India will be able to manage that bench strength. A few of their bowlers have been injured. Prasidh Krishna has been injured. Siraj is still developing. Unfortunately, someone like Umesh Yadav has never been a banker in overseas Test matches. But I think India will be able to develop that bench strength in the coming time. Subodh Chauhan's there. Which player do you see for going for highest bid in the IPL auction? Or maybe Sam Curran or Ben Stokes. It also comes down to what is the order and at what time that player is coming in. Because if a few franchises are in panic mode already and they have the purse, then they are going to go all out. But yeah, my prediction is that someone like Ben Stokes or Sam Curran will go for good money. Even Cameron Green, I won't be surprised. Rahul Chahar could be a good option because he can bat. Maybe. Yeah, and I'm not denying that, but he needs to you know put in a few good performances and get back into the eye of selectors. Is Rohit Sharma T20 batter now, or he's past his prime? I think he's past his prime as a T20 batter for sure. I'd be worried if he's past his prime in the other formats as well. I hope that isn't the case because uh, you know on a few occasions he did look like that he was getting late onto the ball. I hope that isn't the case in ODIs where if he takes a few little bit of more time, he's got his eye in and he's able to accelerate. But yes, in T20s, I don't think he was ever a great batter. Last 6 seasons of the IPL, he's not average even 30. And his combined average, I think he's been around 25, 26 with a striking of 125, 126. So as a T20 batter, he's definitely past his prime. I don't see how it can be denied. So yeah, and at some stage, all of us need to accept that our favorites will have to hang their boots and will be past their prime. There's no shame or harm in that to accept that. What do you think of our spinners' quality for the World Cup? Interesting one. I think a lot will come down to how the pitches are. If the pitches are a little slow, which offer a grip, our finger spinners can really do the job. Someone like Akshar Patel becomes very, very important. Even Sundar can do the job. Shabazz Ahmed. We saw how Sundar and Shabazz bowled against South Africa. They actually bowled well. So if pitches do offer a little bit of grip, finger spinners, India have enough finger spinners to do the job, and they really wouldn't need to rely on spinners. And India can actually look to play two of Jadeja, Akshar, and Sundar, wherein They can play Sundar at number 8 and have Jadeja at 7, or if they want to leave out Jadeja and play Akshar, then they can have Sundar at 7 and Akshar at 8, and then the three fast bowlers. So I, I'm not that worried right now, because I think we also need to give consistent chances, but uh, India need to take a call on Yuzvendra Chahal. That is important, because at this point of time, he's not inspiring any confidence, and batters always seem to be one step ahead of him, and that is something which is concerning. Why Sky batted with at three in T20Is versus New Zealand? Why not Huda is in? See, I don't know what India are trying to do with Deepak Huda. Quite frankly and quite honestly, his best position is in the top three, and I don't think he has the game against pace to be a very good number six or number seven. He has the power, but he doesn't have the range. So, like I said, and I said this after the first T20 as well, that when Shreyas Iyer was dismissed, Hardik Pandya should have sent Deepak Hooda to bat and not come out himself, because even if he does well or he does see, we know what Hardik's going to give as a batter in T20 internationals. What we need to see is that what Deepak Hooda can do at number 5, and especially batting in the last 10 overs. So I thought tactically India were quite off in that tour against New Zealand, whether that be in T20s or in ODIs. So you're absolutely right that Rudra should have gotten more chances. I'm not saying bad at number 3, but maybe at 4 or 5 he should have been given a chance. And India also need to decide, if he's going to be number 3, then where does Shreyas Iyer go? Because he's been a part of the team for like around 2.5 years, but he's not made it to any of the World T20 squads. So if you don't see him, or are you looking to place him in the position where Virat Kohli bats? Because if he's going to be at your new number 3, then Hooda can't be your new number 3, and you have someone like Sky at number 4. So a lot of cluttered mindset, has been reflected in terms of tactics and selection for India. It's something that I've been repeating, and that is why I'm saying I'll wait for the next team that is selected to get a clearer picture of what is it on the minds of the selectors and the team management, and then probably take a call as to what is it that they are looking at. Amrish Karpe, why is Chahal struggling? He's right, struggling from Asia Cup. Who do you think will lead India's spin attack in World Cup 23? Also, I guess he's been. Thank you, Amrish. I love to keep this show going, and I hope you've pressed the like button and you've subscribed to the channel and share it with others as well. Uh, why is he struggling? Is, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of variations. He had started bowling the googly quite a lot in the IPL and before that, but he stopped doing that once again. And he's not even struggling from Asia Cup. He was struggling before as well. He actually got hit for quite a few runs in first T20Is against South Africa as well, in Delhi and Cuttack, if I'm not wrong. So he's had a few bad games. I think he went for a few runs against England as well. So I don't know. Like, I think one of the reasons why he's struggling is his lack of pace and his variations. He doesn't have as much enough variations, and he's not even having a lot of confidence in his bowling as well. And he's resorting to the same kind of bowling that he was doing in the IPL, where he would float up or bowl the ball full unnecessarily. Sometimes he can be too aggressive, and that can lead to him going for a lot of runs in IPL, because the local or domestic batters may not be as skillful than the batters which might be there at the international level. And the batters at the international level know when to go after a bowler. So I won't be surprised if Chahal goes back and has a good IPL once again, where he takes 25 wickets at an economy of 7.5 and an average of 20, but then struggles in the internationals once again, especially if he's not bowling those variations, or he's not mending his ways of trying to bowl it full, which is something which even Kuldeep did, and I did not like that in the last IPL, and it reflected in his economy rate as well, which was, I think, more than 8.5, as opposed to the economy rate which other spinners had. So, who will lead the spin attack? I think it's difficult to answer. We'll have to see who India give enough chances. But yeah, like I said, and I've been repeating, India need to take a call on Yuzvendra Chahal. Are they going to back him? If they are going to back him, then they might as well back him to the hilt till the World Cup. And if India want to drop him, then they might as well give chances to Kuldeep or Bishnoi. I particularly like if they give those chances to Bishnoi, to be very honest. This is a good question. Uh, what makes him special to bat the way he bats on difficult surfaces? One, he has extremely fast hands. He's extremely fast hands, so he can adjust to a few the kind of lengths he's not expecting quite late, which many other batters can't. Along with having extremely fast hands, he has multiple shots. He has a lot of shots. Like to the wide Yorker, he can squeeze out that wide Yorker to third man as well as to point. And like he showed in some of the shots that he's done, that if he has even a little bit of room, he's not afraid to hit a ball which is on the fourth stump, and slightly short of full length over point instead of always going over covers. So he has fast hands and he has a lot of shots which actually enable him to play the kind of outrageous shots that he can. And three is obviously that he's been in brilliant kind of touch. He's picking the ball early, and he, bowlers are also sometimes not sure what they want to do. I think probably the best idea to bowl to him is to stick to one length and make him try and attempt all those risky shots that he wants to. Because what happens is, once if he's played a risky shot, right, and you've been hit for a boundary even when your plan was right, bowlers tend to drop that plan. Because if he's played you over the keeper's head, you have to realize no batter can do that consistently over three balls or four balls in an over, right? What happens is, when that thing happens, or when he's probably swept the spinner to the fine leg from outside the off stump, the next thing that bowlers try and do is try and overcompensate it. They try and bowl him at his legs, or they try and bowl shorter. And he's very good with the cut, and he's very good off his legs. So I think the idea should be to try and make him play the kind of shot which is slightly more risky than one which is easier for him to play, even if that means that you have to concede two boundaries. Because at this point of time, that seems to be the only way to get him out. Because otherwise, if you see, you have to realize that someone who has enough confidence in attempting risky strokes and pulling them off, you will not be able to trouble that batter when it comes to playing conventional strokes. Because if someone is having that much of confidence in attempting all those outrageous shots, that person is going to be able to nail the conventional strokes. And there was this uh, just recently, I think 2 days ago, on our social media on cricket.com, we actually posted that what is the control percentage that Surya Kumar Yadav has playing all the shots, and his control percentage while playing the sweep is below 70%, right? And this is when his strike rate is quite high while playing that shot as well. So you need to be a little stubborn as a bowler, I think, and stick to one line or one plan and try and see if he keeps attempting that risky stroke. Because I think therein lies your chance. Because if you're going to keep bowling it at different places, then as a batter, I think he knows that he has he's playing with your mind. And when a batter knows that he's playing with a bowler's mind, it's extremely difficult for any bowler to dismiss that batter. It can't happen. And this is the kind of stuff that even someone like Virender Sehwag at his prime has been able to do in limited overs as well as in Test cricket. This is something which even David de Villiers has done. This is something which even Sachin Tendulkar has been able to do at their prime. Batters just dictate where they want the ball to come, and if the bowlers start following that, then there's absolutely no chance of them dismissing any batter, whether it be that Surya Kumar Yadav or Virat Kohli at his prime, or any other batter who's batting as well as Surya Kumar Yadav is. Exploit is asking, do you think Siraj's new ball value is essential with his current skill set? He shapes the ball away from RHB at best and isn't cut at. So, in the test matches that happen in Bangladesh, if Siraj plays, I'll be very interested to see how many times does he take the ball away from the right hander. Because I felt in England and even in South Africa, he wasn't bowling the ball leaving the right hander enough. He was consistently bringing the ball back in. He was not even getting the ball to just hold its line from the point of pitching from the point where it was pitching. It wasn't even going straight. Everything was just coming in with the angle. So, but he did actually did that in an ODI. I think it was the third ODI versus England, where he got Joe Root out caught at the slips. Then he bowled that against South Africa as well. So I'd really like to see him do that in test matches. Because I think if he starts bowling the away swinger to the right handers a lot more, with a definite amount of control, he will become an even dangerous bowler, even a better bowler in test matches. And he'll also be able to trouble the left-handers a lot more, because as of now, when he's bowling to the left-handers, uh, there isn't a risk of the left-handers getting out LBW. What he does well is that he's able to bowl that fourth stump or the third stump, or the off stump line, where the left-handers have to play at it, and if they play at it and they end up edging it, the slip catches it, or it goes into the hands of the keepers. But you would rarely see Siraj getting a left-hander out LBW, because he just he's not able to bring that ball in or take that ball away from the right hander from the point of pitching. So if he's able to take the ball away from the right hander, I won't be surprised if he improves as a test match bowler overall, and he becomes lethal against left-handers as well, because then he can also come around the wicket and bring both edges into play. Because if he's coming from around the wicket and bring the ball back in, or have it just holds it line, the batter will never be sure as to which edge is being targeted, whether it is the outside edge or the inside edge. So Siraj taking the ball away from the right hander is absolutely and extremely crucial for India and their chances moving forward in test matches and even in white ball. I think it will just change Siraj as a bowler completely. Oh, no, this is an interesting one. Uh, Depends. If I have to, I will not go for Ben Stokes if I can't have him bat in top three. So if I will not have Ben Stokes batting at four below three. Uh, so if I have to choose a player who's going to bat in top three, and I can pick one of them, then I'll pick Ben Stokes, because I think as a batter, then he can make that much more impact, and he can give me 2 overs, which Riley Risu can't. So that is there. See, there has been some overdose of cricket. I won't deny. And yeah, I would. And the last World Cup, especially the one in UAE, was one where it was just a sort of lottery, where you just win the toss and win the game. So yeah, some of the charm was lost. I agree. Now IPL has 10 teams. Is a good time to give a chance of playing one associate team player instead of one of seven Indians in playing 11. It improves IPL quality and good for smaller team player. Uh, so here's the thing. Just getting it might work. It might help the players who come from these associate nations, but I'm not sure how much would it help the teams, because at the end of the day, the person who's running the team, whether it is the coach or the captain, that person will always have his or her own biases, right? uh, if that player, even if you make it a compulsion that you have to buy one player from these associate teams might buy that player for 20 lakhs at base price or something. But if teams are not confident in giving that player enough chances, I'm not sure how it will help. Lucknow Super Giants last year did get Blessing Muzarbani as one of the net bowlers. Then we had Karthik Mayappan, who was a net bowler for uh, CSK and RCB. I would personally like these players to come in and play. I would like someone like Josh Ritter coming in and playing, Van Meekeren coming in and playing, uh, and even someone like David Wiese. Sikandar Raza is not from associate cricketing nations, but I sort of club them together because uh, the level of opportunity is pretty much the same now for the associate cricket nations, and the likes of Zimbabwe and Ireland, because they have test match status, but it is only for namesake. How many test matches has Ireland actually played? I think they've only played 2 test matches, or maybe 3. So yeah, I would like that, but it will not really improve the IPL quality, because we see a lot of young Indian talent also doesn't get enough chances, because the coaches who are foreign coaches haven't really seen those players. Now, a classic example of this is Delhi Capitals with Ricky Ponting. You had someone like Praveen Amre and Ajit Agarkar in your support staff. So why would you not start your first game with Sarfaraz Khan, especially when David Warner is also not available? And why would you start it with Mandeep Singh? And then just after 2 games, you will drop Mandeep Singh, you will get Sarfaraz in for 1 game, We'll give KS Bharat one game, and KS Bharat had a brilliant season with RCB in the season before that. So uh, I'm not really sure if it will improve the quality. I think somewhere to improve the IPL quality, what we also need is teams becoming better in terms of understanding and realizing that it is not always key to go for big names, but it is important to go for players who can do the job or for the roles. I think sometimes teams get mixed up with that. But yes, ideally, I would like more associate cricketers in the IPL. I would want associate cricket to go to grow more because that helps the sport develop. It makes for beautiful stories. I'm sure as a neutral, everyone enjoyed Netherlands beating South Africa. Everyone enjoyed Namibia beating Sri Lanka. Everyone enjoyed Scotland beating West Indies. So you want these stories to happen, and it was great to see Netherlands finish fourth and beating Zimbabwe as well. So and they could have easily been they could have easily been third had they actually not committed the kind of harakiri that they did against Bangladesh with those two runouts, because 144 Netherlands should have backed themselves to chase with the batting that they had. So that's that. uh, Shubham Sharma saying absolutely spot on analysis. Thank you, Shubham, though I don't know for which question you said that. uh, but thank you so much. Also, just one reminder: please press the like button if you're watching this, and do share it and subscribe to the channel. I am there every Friday, usually at 8 p.m. Today I have to leave somewhere. I have to go somewhere. That is why I had it at 7 p.m. But usually the show is at 8 p.m. And you can follow me on Twitter at Mukirat S Gill. You can follow me on Instagram at GillyCricket. And then at the end of the show, I'll actually lay out on the various platforms at which you can follow cricket.com as well. Your views on impact player rule in IPL, I'm not in favor of it. There will not be importance of all rounder. Basically, I'm split on it because what you said is completely right. But I really enjoyed the super sub rule that was there. In international cricket. Also, what it helps is if a team, right now in cricket we have a COVID substitute. We have a concussion substitute, but we don't have substitutions for players if they get injured during the game, right? And yes, if we allow for that substitution, there are teams that will actually make use of it and probably, you know, misuse the rule. So there are pros and cons to it. What you said about the importance of all rounder will definitely go down 100%. I don't disagree with this, but who knows? It might just give a few opportunities to a few players who might always be on the bench, right? Especially say an uncapped Indian player. He may not be getting chances because of the team balance. So if it gives them the chance and it allows them to come to the forefront and do well, then why not? And I also think that a couple of influential franchises might have pushed for it because they know that they are lacking in a few departments. But what this will also do is it will it will lessen the gap between the franchises in terms of squad construction, because if you know your bowling is weak, or if you know you can't have a balanced squad, you can change that, and you can use it. So for teams who really haven't had, like, I think it will be absolutely beneficial for teams like KKR, who I don't see, or even Punjab, who I don't see, you know, how they'll be able to fit in a balanced 11, or even Mumbai. So for teams who I don't see, putting up a balanced 11, for them this rule might do wonders, and for a few youngsters in that squad, it might do wonders. But yes, teams who are overall well-rounded, they will probably not like this rule because they have put in the efforts to put in to be able to make a balanced 11, and they wouldn't really want that disadvantage to go. So it has its pros and cons, and what Amrish has said about it will reduce the importance of all rounder is absolutely and 100% correct. I completely agree with this. Uh, if KL fails at number 5 in upcoming ODIs, whom will you prefer at the same position? Uh, maybe Sanju Samson, or maybe India can look to have someone like Shreyas Iyer at 4 uh, and uh, and Rishabh Pant at 5, or you could have Suryakumar Yadav at 5. But I wouldn't really take a call on him just on the basis of these three ODIs, because he'll be playing ODI cricket after quite long, and at number 4 and 5 he's actually done well for India. So I think as of now, I think Shreyas Iyer is the first backup for positions 3, 4, 5. Then Suryakumar Yadav might be the second, or Sanju Samson might be the second. I'm not really sure. I would have preferred Sanju Samson to be that second backup, but I think it is Sky in the team's eyes. So it's there's not much to choose. I think between the two. But yeah, which Sky shot till date he hit it that amazed you or your favorite? Quite a lot of them. Um, I think there's this there was this shot to that he played to Lockie. Okay, so it's from his 100 against England. I think it was in Trentbridge in that T20I where two similar deliveries of Chris Jordan. He hit 1-6 over cover and the other over point, and he just opened the face of his bat at the last moment, and just gave it direction. So it was incredible amount of wrist work, and I think it's a very difficult shot to play. So they are one of my favorites of Suryakumar Yadav. Do you think KL Rahul should continue to bat at 5 considering his big match temperament? He tends to score in bilaterals but doesn't play well in crucial. Well, at this point of time, KL Rahul is definitely one of the most frustrating cricketers in Indian cricket. There is absolutely no mistake about it. We'll have to see. I think maybe uh, I also think that when the ball moves in big games, his tentativeness really takes over and doesn't allow him to bat normally. So maybe if he's batting at 5, where the ball may not be moving and the conditions might be a little easier, and he knows what he has to do. I think sometimes when he's opening, he's not sure whether he wants to go out and play aggressive cricket or just bide his time. So see, we'll have to see. I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer because you would expect someone of his quality to, get over issues such as big match temperament, especially after the kind of experience that he has because now he's 30. But if he continues to fail, then yeah, I won't be surprised if India do take a call on him at some point of time and play maybe even Suryakumar Yadav or Sanju Samson at 5. It's actually a very difficult one to answer at this point of time. Why don't India have leg spinning all rounders in domestic unlike other nations? Our left arm spinners and off spinners can bat unlike leg spinners. I don't think a lot of countries have leg spinning all rounders. There's only Livingston. I see what you have to realize is that wrist spin is uh, more difficult skill of spin as opposed to finger spin. It requires far more control. It requires far more effort to develop that control. So I don't think that it is easy for someone who's in the art of leg spin or wrist spin to be able to work on their batting. If you see someone like Anil Kumble became a better batter when he came into the Indian team. Someone like Shane Warne as well. He became a better batter while playing for Australia. I don't think that it is easy for someone who's pursuing the art of leg spin or the skill of leg spin to be simultaneously be able to keep working on his batting unless he's blessed with natural talent. And you're saying unlike other nations, I'm thinking of a few names, but there is Shadab and there is Livingston. I don't think just on the basis of those two names we can say that all teams have leg spinning all rounders in other team in their nations because Adam Zappa doesn't bat, Adil Rashid doesn't bat. Again, Rashid Khan has become a better batter while playing franchise cricket or international cricket, but he was always a leg spinner first. He's worked on his batting later. Uh, Tabrez Shamsi doesn't bat. Uh, Samuel Badri wasn't the best of batters. So I'm just trying to think of names and I can't. So like I said, leg spin, nailing leg spin isn't easy. So you have to first nail leg spin and then try and work on your batting. I don't think it's easy to to become good enough in both. It's very difficult. It's like what I say that if you want to become a pace bowling all rounder, you have to be a pacer from the very nascent stages. You can't pick up pace bowling later because pace bowling just takes up a different amount of load on your body. It's not easy. You can become a finger spinner, or you can become a part-time finger spinner, or if you're a finger spinner, then you can become a batter, because these skills are still relatively easier to master. This is something that people need to understand. The control in finger spin is far easier than the control in wrist spin. Rajesh is saying, "Hi Paji, no questions, just enjoying your show." Thank you, Rajesh. You are one of the very regular viewers, and I absolutely love it when people become dedicated viewers and keep sending in their questions. Just tells me that how much they love to listen to me, and I think there's nothing more. There's nothing more that I can be happy about than the sentiment which people have for the show, or for my views, because it tells me that I am also sort of progressing as someone who can speak on the game of cricket, and hopefully becoming better every day. And like I keep saying, if you think I am making a mistake somewhere, please point it out, because uh, when it comes to cricket analysis, or understanding the game of cricket, there is no one certain way. There are certain theories, and then on that basis of certain theories you will have different examples. It is never a case of one size fitting all, as we have seen so many times in this game of cricket, which is such a beautiful sport. I know people are watching a lot of football these days, but it's something that I can't watch because I'm not able to generate that interest. So something on that. uh, India should have sent full strength team to New Zealand and beating to Bangladesh. Is it a mismatch of selection? Do you agree? Not sure. I think maybe India wanted to rest a few of their first choice players in New Zealand because they were on the road for quite long. And Bangladesh in their home conditions isn't an easy ODI side, right? Because of the pitches that they might lay out. And we have our batters who struggle against it. Both Kohli and Rohit, Rohit aren't great against spin as they used to be. So we shouldn't be taking Bangladesh lightly. Let me put it very clear. Bangladesh is not something that you take lightly, and least alone in ODIs, which is their best format. In test matches, yes, India you can say that India go in as overwhelming favorite, especially how India A are doing against Bangladesh A, and how Bangladesh actually succumbed to the spin bowling in South Africa of Keshav Maharaj and Simon Harper. But Bangladesh in ODIs is not something that you can take lightly. It's good that India have sent in a full strength team, and let's hope that they do well. Why Jadav Unadkat is not selected even in red ball India has been referred for. Uh, Jadav Unadkat is one story which is quite unfortunate, because he was blooded into the team when he was not ready, purely because he was a left-hander. And then when he started performing, he did make a comeback post the 2017 IPL, but I thought that was an aberration. He was never going to be a great T20 bowler. India could have tried him in ODIs and in Test matches, but what the captains at that point of time felt that he didn't have enough pace to trouble the batters. And see, there are cricketers who will always do well at the domestic level, but will struggle at the international level. And you can only get to know that why after trying them out, or maybe playing them uh, somewhere. And I think those who are in charge of making those calls or making those decisions, they felt that he may not be able to replicate his success in the domestic cricket at the international level. Now, I'm not saying that it would have happened or it wouldn't have happened, but yes, he deserved a chance. But it's an unfortunate story. That's all I can say. And I have a lot of respect for someone like Jaydev Nadkar, because he's been slogging in and out in the domestic circuit for quite long, and he deserves that chance. It's the kind of story that even someone like Amol Majumdar had, or Subramanian Badrinath had, who kept scoring runs in domestic cricket, but because there was no space, they couldn't get in. And that's been the case with Jaydev Market as well. The preference to have bowlers who could touch 140 in Test cricket has been so immense that someone like Jaydev Market wouldn't get in. And he could have only gotten in maybe in place of someone like an Ishant Sharma, who could bowl dry and could hold out one end. But then Ishant Sharma also keep becoming better and better post 2015. You look at his numbers; he just became an outstanding bowler and a brilliant support seamer for India. So there was literally no space for Jaydev Market, and it's unfortunate. As far as Shaw is concerned, see, he needs to score against big teams. Even in Syed Mushtaq Ali and in Vijay Hazare Trophy, I saw him score a lot of runs against teams which are weaker, and selectors do take note of this. So he needs to replicate performances against big teams for him to make that mark. And in T20s, he really needs to bring his average up. He needs to have an average of 30. Below that, I think it's not enough, because T20s are not just about strike rates. ODI crickets are not just about averages, because if ODI cricket was just about averages, Shea Hope would have been the best best ODI batter. But we know that is not the case, and it is for a reason. And you need runs in T20 as well. It's not just about strike rates. Um, Subodh is saying you've not taken my last three questions. I am sorry, Subodh, but there are so many questions that have come in, and I have to take questions from others as well. I'll try and answer them anyway. You can redirect those questions to me at preseason as well. A preseason app where I take a lot of questions. Please send me your questions there. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to. But you have to realize that I have to answer the questions of others as well. Others are watching too. What who do you think MI will go out all out to buy at the IPL auction? Adil Rashid, Sikandar Raza, Zampa, or Keshav Maharaj? Uh, I think one of Zampa or Adil Rashid might end up at SRH given the budget that they have. Uh, I think MI will probably go for another pacer because okay, so there's Jofra, there is Meredith. No, uh, MI will they could go for Sikandar Raza, but I'm not sure if Sikandar Raza will get will get a space in the 11. Uh, MI will probably want to go for maybe a so they have Stubbs who's going to bat at number 6. They have Tim David, they have Travis. They could probably look to go for an overseas keeper who could open. Uh, but yeah, I don't see them going for Keshav Maharaj because they have Kumar Karthike, who's another finger spinner. I don't, and there is Ritik Shakeen as well. So I don't see them uh, going for a finger spinner for sure. They could try and go for one of Adil Rashid or Zampa, depending upon the budget that they have and at what stage they are coming. I don't see them going for a finger spinner for sure, and I have a feeling they might just go for uh, another bowler, or maybe because you never know what would be Jofra's fitness, or they could try and go for an all-rounder. We have to see. It's difficult to answer at this point of time. Uh, what was MI's budget? I don't think how many do they have? I don't remember this correctly. So I did a show on this, but I unfortunately don't remember that. If someone can in comments can tell me how much money do MI have left, then I can probably make a comment on that. Do you think Dhawan is being persisted with because of his left-handedness and acts as a shield for Rohit against left-arm pace during the new ball? Uh, at this point of time, Dhawan is himself struggling with game space. I think he's being persisted purely because of his experience and big match temperament. So that is one case, but I think it's more to do with the experience and his record. But honestly, from what I've seen this year from Shikhar Dhawan, I think against pace bowling, which is especially early on in his innings, he will have to take a lot more risks because one of the reasons why he was so good in the 2019 to 2021 IPL was his outstanding intent was coupled with his very good premeditation against pace bowling. Right, he started to move around the crease to open up the leg side, so that whenever teams were trying to clamp him from room, he could develop scoring options on the leg side. But in ODIs, he can't really do that much premeditation, and I think he's now starting to get rush for pace as well. The way he batted against Milne and Rocky Ferguson showed me that and convinced me of that. So I think it's probably a case of age catching up with him as well. His premeditation will get better, I think, when he has played 30, 40 balls. But at this point of time, India can't afford another opener that bats slow because Rohit is going to take his time in ODIs. So yeah, it's. I hope that the Bangladesh series is the last one, and if he scores runs, it will create a lot of troubles for India. Can we groom Sundar as the third all-rounder in absence of Jadeja? He can be second backup all-rounder after Hardik. I don't think they have a backup for Hardik. That is one. But yes, he can be a backup for Jadeja. I agree to that. And yes, he should be groomed without a doubt. Mehul Sanghi has answered my question, and I have 22 crores. So yes, they have the option to go after one wrist spinner for sure, which could be Zampa or Rashid, depending upon who that is. But we'll have to see if other teams are more desperate to get them. But yes, MI will try and lock one wrist winner for sure. If Pakistani players were at the IPL auction, do you think Babar Azam will even get a single bid? Babar Azam will not get that bid. Will not get a bid. He will go unsold. Mohammad Rizwan will go unsold. I think the players who will be sold is Shaheen, uh, Shalab Khan, and Haris Rauf. These three will get sold, and maybe Mohammad Nawaz. These four players, I do see them getting sold, but not Babar, not Rizwan. Uh, and their all-rounders might, but I don't see Babar Rizwan getting sold. I don't see Ashan Masood getting sold. Fakr Zaman as well, because he's, a team. You can get local Indian opening options as well. I don't think these four players will get a bid. So yeah, uh, Shaheen, Haris Rauf, Shadab, and Mohammad Nawaz. And their pacers, like Rahul Dravid said, their pace attack is sexy. So if Naseem Shah comes in, maybe he might get a bit as well, because there's a paucity of good Indian pacers, because a lot of these are ones with a lot of potential but don't have that much experience. So yeah, Babar Azam certainly not. So, like always, I've been on for more than 1 hour. It's been 1 hour 6 minutes that I've been on this show. Just want to thank all of you who've been patient listeners and sent in your questions, and always give me this opportunity to talk to you guys and answer your questions, and more importantly have that faith that my answers will satisfy you. uh, all those who've just tuned in or who've been watching and not pressed the like button, please do that. It's a request. And if you've enjoyed the show, do tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. This time was an exception that it was at 7 p.m. At 8 p.m. into Deep Point with GillyCricket. And while you are, going through the channel of cricket.com, do check out the other properties as well. There is a Decoded which comes out every Sunday. There's a there's another episode that happens with one of my colleagues, Avinash Hegde, at every Thursday. So do check out all that is there on cricket.com, and follow cricket.com on Instagram, where it is as cricket.com_official. On Twitter it's there as we are cricket, and then there's a QR code you can use to visit the website, and from there on you can also download the cricket.com app. It is available both on Android as well as iOS. So that's it from this episode, and love talking to all of you. I'll see you again next Friday, and we are also going to come up with a few more shows which we discontinued while the World Cup was on. But yeah, stay tuned for a lot more cricket content and a lot more data centric cricket content. Let me put it that way. So that's it from me for today's show. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.